All right, all right. Let's make sure we're live here. We're going to be doing a live recording of this module of non-fungible frameworks. We're talking about prescription. We're talking about selling. And I just want to make sure that I'm live here in the group for you folks. So if you're hanging out on Facebook, let me know. Hit me up in the comments section. I see it live there. Looks like we're good to go. Cool. Well, we'll get into it today. For those of you hanging out here in the TRD group, you're probably wondering what the fuck's going on. So happy New Year and happy Tuesday to you all. We're not going to do necessarily a classic mindset training today. I know today's the mindset call, but what I'm doing in the background, I've actually been recording some live call review examples. So we're playing a call that really, a part of the call that is going to display the framework that I'm actually, have already created and recorded a sort of more theoretical training on. And so we're going to see these examples in the wild. So for those of you who are watching the course right now, obviously you know kind of what's going on. And for those of you who are hanging out in the Facebook group live with me or catching the replay, that's what's happening. I'm basically going to do a live recording of of one of our training modules. So that's it. That's what we're going to do today. So what we've got queued up is a call that closed on a little bit of a trial offer. It's not your typical sort of high ticket 90-day coaching offer like we would normally close on this offer. It is a 7-day trial that then you would upsell into the 10K coaching program. So we're going to specifically look at this salesperson's pitch, how they are presenting benefits and features, outcomes and opportunities, all that jazz. And this sales rep in particular, I think he's got a very exquisite and elaborate at times articulation style. His selling style is very smooth, almost too smooth sometimes. And so we'll be giving him feedback. I do rate these calls on a scale of 1 to 5. So I'm going to go ahead and rate this one between a 2.5 and a 3. I might change my own mind as I go through this. Typically, my rating gets worse as I go through these because I just find more opportunities for them to work on some things. Right out of the gate, listening through this call, it's just a little too long-winded. And that's my main coaching point for this sales rep across the board anyway. So what we're going to do here with those of you hanging out live, I'm going to share a screen. I'm going to share audio, make sure that you can hear what I got going on. I am using Ecamm here to stream. I'll use this more often. It's a very smooth and higher quality streaming process than Zoom. And so hopefully my audio and my video is good, and you can do some smooth stuff like this right here. Oh boy, some smooth transitions. So let's get into it. We're going to be listening to this call 3 minutes into the call. I believe this was a follow-up call. Really quickly, if we take a look at this gentleman, when this call happened, closed it, 14-minute call previously. No, this looks like the first call. So this was actually the first call with this gentleman. And we went into a pitch pretty early. So yeah, if you're hanging out on Facebook, let me know what you think about this kind of stuff. And we'll get into it, shall we?
Engagements.
Of course, it's going to freeze on me. So give me a second. Let me refresh. Google Drive likes to freeze on these calls. And here we go.
Areas already where you, let's say, as a color schemes and SEO may.
It may be I can't do everything I want to do with this organization. That's the setup, if you like.
Okay. Yeah, no, I appreciate that. Thank you. That makes a lot of sense. Based on what you've shared, I mean, it's very clear, right? No confusion or rocket science here, that it's applicable to both scenarios. If we work backwards, you can build a system and build skills and have lifetime access to a support system which can enable you to take joeaston.com if that is a direction. But in the meantime, where you are right now, business acquisition, partnership, key client acquisition, revenue, higher value propositions, better structured to the needs of who you're going after to help you differentiate and thereby charge for value, and not 200 quid an hour or 500 quid an hour, but high value engagements.
So I do think that we must have missed a little bit of discovery so it looks like we had that's what happened. So we had an original 47-minute call with this gentleman about a month ago, and then a couple weeks after, we're running this offer. We get back on the line with them, we speak for 14 minutes, and that's the call that we hear. So we are missing a little context in terms of discovery, and really what we hear our sales rep doing at this stage is a little bit of diagnosing of kind of what the future could look like for this prospect. And so it might not seem as a really clear offer right now because they've already had a lot of ensuing discussion. So let's see if we can start to package together a clear offer through a lot of this back and forth.
£30,000 a month for a front-end offer, high-end core offers where you're working with clientele for 3 to 6 months with retainer-based revenue streams, again, priced at value, not per hour. Now, all of that leads to what? That leads to a consistent pipeline. The 90-day pipeline's end product is not a marketing academic program. It's not building a fancy website with certain color schemes and SEO matrix behind it. It is a business building program where whether you're on the platform of an existing firm or you want to start your own firm, we get you to a consistent, predictable pipeline of high-value clients reaching out to you. Therefore, if your role as a partner is...
Okay, so I'm going to stop it here because this is where we have kind of the classic or quintessential prescription, if you will. And the whole point of this call example is to outline the prescriptive selling style. So there's a little bit of diagnosing of what a prospect's doing now and what they'll do differently with our help or working with us or in the future or with this new strategy. And I'm going to play that back a little bit if I can. Now, there's, he goes into an expression of what it's not. So he says, it's not this, it's not that, but what it is a business building program to bring more high value customers to you. So they're reaching out to you, right? So bringing them inbound. So that's the sort of the prescription that I like to see. Let me just put myself on Do Not Disturb. And let's replay that. Let's get
high value engagements. £30,000 a month for a front-end offer, high-end core offers where you're working with clientele for 3 to 6 months with retainer-based revenue streams, again, priced at value, not per hour. Now, all of that leads to what? That leads to a consistent pipeline. The 90-day pipelines end.
So the 90-day pipeline is the name of the coaching program. So here is the prescription, if you will.
Product. It's not a marketing academic program.
It's not a marketing academic program.
It's not building a fancy website with certain...
It's not building a fancy website.
...color schemes and SEO matrix behind it. It is a business building program where whether you're on the platform of an existing firm or you want to start your own firm, we get you to a consistent, predictable pipeline of high-value clients reaching out to you.
That's where I would have stopped it. So it's not this, it's not that. It's a business building program, whether you want to scale an existing consulting firm or start your own, where we build you a pipeline of high-value clients and prospects and have them reach out to you instead of you reaching out to them. That's where I would have stopped. I would have left some silence, left some space. Is that what you're looking for? And confirmed that prospect and myself are aligned, both in the identification of the problem that happened in the discovery, the recapitulation of the problem, and the summary of what you see is the biggest bottleneck, sticking point, and what's going to remove that bottleneck. You don't have a pipeline, so we're going to build you a pipeline. Your prospect doesn't know what you do, so we're going to help you craft a very clear offer and have a strong position and message around that. Whatever that thing that they need, you're communicating that clearly and then telling them in a nutshell, in the sort of tagline elevator pitch way, what the prescription is. So in order to build a pipeline, it's going to be about this, this, and that. Getting clear on your client, having their strong messaging, knowing how to differentiate yourself, and having a process that's going to create content that brings your ideal customer to you instead of you having to reach out to them on LinkedIn ad infinitum. That's it. I would have stopped there. He does not stop there. He continues. And that's perfect. That froze right there. So I'll reload this and we'll keep playing a little bit of it. But I really probably would not have, I don't know how much more there is here. Because what happens effectively, and let me know if this is you, you make your point, and most people who are not extremely certain that that's the last or final word repeat themselves. Most people tend to make their point 2, 3, 4, 5 times. And if you're honestly reviewing your sales pitch, that's probably what's happening to you. And so this call that's 15 or 14 minutes long, most of it is the sales rep talking and pitching and pitching and pitching. And I think that there could have been, a lot less of it, probably 60, 70% less than what was happening. And as long as we're aligned with the diagnosis that you've made, the prescription to solve it, the prospect will then have questions for you around what's included, how do I get access to this, when do I show up to this coaching call, and this is what I would consider the deliverables and logistics side. So just to recap for those of you who haven't heard the training yet, and again, if you're following along in the training course, you've already gone through this module, the prescription framework that we really want to use when we're actually making our sales pitch is a sort of capability statement that they're a good fit. Hey, you're a great fit given everything that you've talked about today. I know for a fact we can help you. And, this and that is probably what I would do first. Then you give them a 10,000 foot overview of what's to come through 90 days, 8 weeks, 6 months, 7 days, whatever your timeline is of your offer, the delivery, and whatever journey they're going to go through once they purchase your product or service. So the overview of what's going to look like at step 1, 2, 3, and 4, and 5. What's going to be covered in what order. Then you're going to start tailoring certain benefits and certain use cases of your product to their situation. So right now you're doing this on LinkedIn, and we're going to change the LinkedIn strategy. We'll have you use this automation, and that's going to start to generate a lot more of an influx into your inbox instead of you being the one reaching out. Or instead of that strategy, we're going to do something completely different, and that's going to look like this, and that. So remembering that it doesn't matter how good you think your product or service is, if the prospect doesn't understand how they're going to take their current strategy or their current circumstance and change it 1 to 100%, then you don't have a sale. And there's usually only 1 or 2 key points that you need to do this on. Whatever's going to immediately move the needle for them. They might want to do something 6 months down the road, and that's great. But if they don't know how they're going to move January 4th to January 12th to January 24th, if they don't know what that's going to look like in those next 2 or 3 steps, then again, you don't have a sale. And then you'll typically show them how they're going to interface with your product through training, through coaching calls, through community, through live events, through whatever, one-on-one support or access they have. How will they receive the strategy that you're going over with them? And then, of course, you do a temperature check. How does that sound? So just as a review, that's what it should look like. And what I often hear when I listen to calls is this kind of word vomit of feature dumping. And it's going to help you this, and it's going to do this, and this is what's going to happen. And then there's the rounding of the bases and the circling and the making the same point 3 or 4 times. And it's typically unnecessary. If they're not getting it, and that's clear from their questions or their lack of understanding, then yeah, you're going to have to make your point and loop again and again. But if you don't have a signal that that's necessary, why do it? So with that being said, let's dive in again and see if we can pick something else out of this sales pitch. Oh yeah, love it. Cool. Let's refresh again. Thank you, Matt Rowe. Hope you're well, my man. Happy New Year, Matt Rowe.
This is good.
Okay.
Savvy.
We have.
So let's bring it back right around where we were.
I understand that. Yeah, absolutely. Yep. Do any of your other colleagues here now at the firm, do they also, I mean, are there various rates?
So the prospect says something to the effect of, oh, sounds like a lot of people in my firm could use this. And so we have a team package that can serve up to 5 consultants. And so now salesperson picks that up. Oh, maybe this is a team package. And I think that ends up being what they talk about.
Makers, or is everyone going to be looking at Mr. Aston for that?
Oh no. So I'm new to the organization. I started working there earlier this year. I'm just transitioning outside of another organization where I had a bigger business development role.
Sure.
I'm not your typical rainmaker profile. I'm the kind of person who shapes solutions typically, who does the thinking and the design. I have colleagues who probably spend more time keeping their relationships warm, looking for an opportunity. And the problem with waiting, of course, with that approach is they're basically saying a commodity, because they're spending so much time keeping in touch with people. They're not spending enough time to create any insights or create a value proposition that is so compelling that people want to bite. They're basically saying, okay, you want a program? We'll do a program. Tell me how much you can spend. And they need to shift out of that, because the approach we have is, what the organization done is becoming more and more commodified, and there is an opportunity to bring all the organization's distinct capabilities together to create a distinctive offer. That is what we need to do, but I think the skill in the organization is lacking for how we would then market that, take it to market. We'd be taking it to market in a different way. If we put all that thought and effort into crafting that offer, we'll to make the most of that. We'll want to do some kind of lead generation activity. I guess it's the kind of thing that 90-day pipeline incorporates.
Of course. Now,
so this is very good. He's saying that his organization doesn't necessarily have any clear offers, that they are running leading into client conversations. They're basically assessing the needs of the client and then finding out how much budget they have, and then just trying to milk it for everything that they possibly can. Certainly could be effective in some cases, but I think that it's going to feel very disingenuous. The conversion rate's probably not going to be as high. The sales process is broken, right? So we have an offer problem as well as a sales process problem in his entire organization. Now, we need to assess a few things very quickly. Does the prospect believe that that's his intimate problem as well, or is that a problem that's the organization's problem and he has sort of a different problem? Or does he share a lot of those issues? Odds are he does. And do we need to include, this as a team package, or do we enroll this guy and look at a future opportunity with the business once you're getting results with him? We need to assess that very quickly, and that's realistically what we should have been doing at the beginning of this call to basically crack open discovery again. Again, we didn't do a discovery at the beginning of this call because we spoke to this guy 20 days prior or 15 days prior. And any follow-up call you have with a prospect, whether it's 2 days or 20 days, you should start your call with another discovery phase, whether, it's no matter how condensed it is, even if it's very short, we should get a quick catch up on where the situation is. Are they still in the same place? Is he thinking the same thing? Is he still experiencing the same problem? And we don't have that understanding until Mr. Prospect here shares that with us, thankfully.
This critical question, which you have answered in a very holistic and detailed way, and I appreciate that, Joe, basically entails a very clear point to be made up front. Your role then will not be sufficient for the 90-day pipeline, which means, do you see, let's assume, hypothetically, if we were to invite you into the program, and if you were to see value and alignment, would you see your colleagues and key partners who play a role when it comes to sales, marketing, in addition to your more core strategic product-based role, do you see them as being possibly available to work with us?
Yeah, the reason I signed up for the call is to better understand what the proposition is. I understand, if you like, its components and elements. What I don't understand is the kind of commitment you require, and I suppose the options for a partner taking on the role. When I looked at the program, I thought, that sounds like the kind of thing for my skill set, which is I can put together ideas, I can synthesize.
So just for giggles, let's hear how this call turns out towards the end of it. And I know that we end up with a test drive close, which is basically a deposit, and the opportunity for Mr. Joe here to give the program a test drive and jump into some coaching calls and see the first couple of modules. So I think, and this is very often that I run into this, pretty much every time that I review a call and look at the sales pitch or the offer, I almost always identify an opportunity that we missed in the discovery. And so what does that tell us? Well, if you're following along with the modules here, you know that the discovery phase is the most important part of any consultative sales process. If you're selling anything that's going to require consideration and sizable investment, anything that's over sort of $2,000, $3,000, $5,000 to the average person, your discovery phase needs to be the most in-depth and the majority of your sales process. The sales pitch can be incredibly short. It was about 20 seconds that I clipped out of there that says it's a business, here's what it's not, here's what it's not. It's a business building program to attract high value clients and have a powerful offer and market position so that people are coming to you. Elevator pitch. And now and you could expand on that to make it a very sort of in-depth presentation. Now there are 6 pillars that will work with you over the course of 90 days to make sure that happens. But first and foremost for you, Mr. and Mrs. Customer, is X, Y, and Z. If we don't do this, none of this other stuff matters. Now the way that we're going to deliver that strategy to you is we have trainings you'll go through. You'll have then coaching calls every single week that you'll attend and have the opportunity to sort of air out your thoughts and get any questions answered. And you'll also have a one-on-one client success coach with you every step of the way. You're going to meet with them every other week or every week and make sure that not only the training is making sense, but you're actually implementing the strategy that we're outlining for you in the training. So that way you stay in implementation and you stay on track throughout the 90 days. That's how we structure it. This is what it is. This is what we'll cover. And then this is how you employ it. What questions do you have? Does that sound like what you're looking for? The pitch can be that simple, ladies and gents, but you need to know what their biggest obstacle that they're facing, the situation around that, the consequences of if they don't solve or get over that obstacle, and how they fucking feel about it. If you don't know those things, then you're going to meander and look around and try to feel your way around the right offer, and then they're going to bring new details up that you needed to have going into your pitch, and it's going to get really muddy and murky and extend your call unnecessarily. So this is actually, I thought this was the 14-minute call where he closed the test drive offer, the security deposit offer. This is the first PMC. So within 3 minutes of a first sales call, we're making an offer. We're pitching. We're presenting. Ladies and gents, that's just not how we do business here. So my rating, that was originally a 2.5, 3, is hardly a 1 at this case. I can't give it 0 stars, so I'm going to give it a 1. Let's see how this call starts to end. Might have to refresh again. Oh, yeah. Okay. future reference, download the call. Probably download the call, Cody, so we don't run into this. All right.
And high value.
That's still
Choose you people unless we know of Joe and his fellow team of experts, right?
exactly. That's what we're talking.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think that was very helpful just then, actually thinking the growth is probably not going to appeal to their values. What would appeal to them is how do we sustain this and actually have a better experience of running this business, because they all work way harder than they should. And if they had a better proposition, they could scale themselves and spend less time. I think, less time at home to be about them. I mean, that's partly what the business exists, because of great people. But there is a way to, dare I say, take what makes them great as people and almost codify that to an extent.
Excellent.
You know what I mean? Well, that way of engaging, that it's the values and who they are, their way of being. Well, that kind of shows up in a particular kind of process.
Yeah.
To some extent.
Yeah. Are you an equity partner, Joe, if I may ask?
Okay, so yeah, and now we do a little bit more discovery around who Joe is. Joe's not the decision maker here. Joe is not our buyer. It sounds like he's trying to position his firm and what they need, and he's giving our sales rep more ammo and leverage for what the firm needs instead of what he needs. And so he's not the buyer, and we're still doing some discovery right in the last couple of minutes. Are you an equity partner? What's your role in all of this? So that's the note. And I'll probably record another example of prescription and selling, because this was just such a poor example of discovery going into the call. So ladies and gents, if you find yourself 3-5 minutes into a first sales meeting pitching, stop. Go back. You've done something. You've missed something. And what you've missed is the importance of understanding who you're selling to, what's their role, and understanding why they're on the call, what their situation is, what they feel like you could help them with, what their goal is, where they're trying to get to, what they've tried already to get there, what the consequences are if they don't solve this problem, how they feel about that, how confident are you they're going to be able to solve it on their own, with your help, with someone else's help. If they don't solve it, what happens? And then make sure that your assessment of the situation lines up with what their assessment of the situation is, or they at least agree that you're right and you just offered them some new insights. If you don't do those things, you're not ready to make an offer to someone. If you don't really understand the situation and where you're going to be of value, then don't really have anything to sell to them. So that's all I have for you today. Hopefully this is fun. We'll do more of this stuff. Again, this is live recording for the training course that will be released here in the next couple of days. I'm excited. I'm excited to bring this to you. So if you have any questions, hit me up here in the Facebook section of the comments. We'll see you on Thursday for another live training. We'll probably do something else here. I'll be done with the bulk of the modules by end of day today. So if you have anything else and you want something else covered, if you want more live call stuff, if you want something else, hit me up. And for those of you watching this on the course, appreciate you bearing with me as I do this live. And wish you the best. Onwards and upwards. On the next video here in the module, we're actually going to look at making an offer, having a very clear offer structure to drop price. And we'll take it into resistance and objections from there. So that's all for now, folks. Cheers and have a happy rest of your Tuesday. Peace.